What up, guys? Jason Guyman here with Christmas lights, and tonight we're going to talk about. We'll probably talk about pressure washing too, but mostly going to be about Christmas lights. It's going on pressure washing. Chris is a pressure washer too, so like again, we'll probably be talking about both. But tonight, I want to talk about how Chris got to $100,000 his first year, his second year $250,000, and this year the third year $300,000 in just 3 years. And so that is what we are going to hit on tonight. I would love to know how my audio is if everything is good. And once Chris gets going, we'll see how his audio is going. I may have to put the headphones on. We'll see. But this week's been a great week. I've been doing 75 hard for 13 days now, and I know that last night I almost failed. Right, in business, we almost failed sometimes. Last night I almost failed 75 hard. We're doing my workout at 11 o'clock at night and reading my 10 chapters of a very good book that you all should read. It's called Buy Back Your Time. If you haven't read it yet, I would highly recommend you to read Buy Back Your Time. This is a book that is right up there with E-Myth and Profit First. It is one of those books that I would highly recommend you to read so that way you can grow your business, whether it's pressure wash, Christmas lights, window cleaning, junk removal, whatever it is, how to buy back your time. And it's not about buying back your time for not about buying back your time for growing your business, but actually buying back your time for so that you don't go crazy, right? So before we find out more about Chris, I see we got some people on here. We got Gabe from Arizona. How are you doing? Creating my game plan right now this season. What's up? Checking in from Rhode Island. Get some, Jason. So Chris and Bonnie, I see Bonnie's there now, the better half, but
Yep.
and the youngest one. But Chris, tell me just a little bit about who are you, where are you from, and just your backstory of running this business.
Yeah, so my wife and I, we live out in Myrtle Beach. We started this business about 3 years ago together. She quit her job. I got out of the military. Um, for our family, kind of was done with the day to day 9 to 5 job. So we ended up doing this. We've been a great team. She runs more the administrative side of things. I do more of the operations as well as the product side of things. And yeah, 3 years later, we're what we did 200 first year, second year 310. This year we're going to go for five. May even be able to do six, depending on recruiting. But yeah, that's pretty much us.
So, Chris, you started doing your Christmas light business. What was that? 2 years ago now.
Yeah, so we didn't start the first year. We didn't start till 2022. That was actually after we met you and Donovan up in Raleigh, and I think we came back. It was like November that we actually started, so we definitely got a really late start, and we just started putting a whole bunch of yard signs and flyers out, and somehow made six figures doing it in a month. So it was great.
So, what made you think about starting a Christmas light business?
I mean, my wife and I just wanted to do it. Honestly, it was more attractive to us than pressure washing was. We do pressure washing like the rest of the year, but Christmas lights for us was always something we were passionate about. It's our cash cow. I mean, first year we did 100, second we did 210 and just lights. This year I would like to go for five, but I'm going to be a little optimistic and say, hey, we're going to go for five. We'll probably land around like 350. Estimated guess for this year.
So, as you've been down our journey of starting your own business, what are some things that you have learned along the way?
Um, so I think the most important thing is at some point in time, every business is going to come to this realization that you're going to become a really good leader, or you're going to be on the truck the rest of your life. And you're going to make money with your back instead of somebody else's back. So that's been the biggest wake up call for me, or for us this year. We've gotten a lot more educated on recruiting and employees. Where, I talked with Sean Day. I know he's been on the podcast. Same thing with Dan Plata. Me and him talk every 2 weeks about employees. Super important, especially when it comes to Christmas lights. It's just getting the right hires, the right people on the bus, because we were capped at about, 210 last year. There's no way I would have gone more. Like, there's no way. I was capped. It was me and a helper. So if I want to get to 300,000 to 500,000, I'm gonna have to have more than just one helper, and I'm gonna have to at some point get off the truck. So for me, employees is going to be a big, big thing for us this year to learn and figure out. We've been trying to figure them out for 3 years, so this is kind of the year where we are really focusing heavy on this and figuring out how do we get to a point where we're not hanging lights anymore, and it's just, our employees doing it.
So one thing I want to hit on here is what 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 is your why? I know that your why is probably your family and feeding that, but you also have another why of your business, and so I'd like to hear a little bit about that why of why you running your business and what are some things you're doing to do to help others around the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, just a backstory about me. I probably didn't say this in the beginning. So, I spent 16 years in the military. Had a great, you know, salary, W-2 career base. I mean, I was making like 60K a year, and I lost all of it. Some things were outside of my control. Life changes with divorce, lost all my money. Uh, I came out here to Myrtle Beach because I met my wife, and we decided to start this thing together. And because of the scare of homelessness and losing everything, which I never really expected that would ever happen to me, it was really kind of out of the blue. Now we give back, right? We give back to the homeless veteran ministry. I go out and wash for them. I've hired people, trying to get them off their feet, giving them money. We also are doing a program this year too, and we're going to extend it with lights. I need to make sure I be careful about how I'm saying this, but any disabled veteran, because I'm a disabled veteran as well, that is like really in need of like house wash because they can't afford it. HOA is send them letters, or even like a disabled vet, maybe it's last Christmas they're terminally ill, something like that, and they just want a little cheer. We're doing free jobs for them, so every week, like, we reach out and see if there's any in the Georgetown Horry County community, and we've been giving back in that way as well this year.
And when you give back, it's amazing, right? It's one of the things that, as you are successful, it's a way that you are able to get. It's more than just grabbing money, right? It's more than just making money. Money's a great thing, but being able to do that for somebody that may not be able to do that is an amazing thing.
100%. I mean, the way I look at money now is it's a tool. It's a resource, and it comes and goes. I've had it, I've lost it, and I've had it again, and lost it again, and had it again, and lost it again. It's just a never-ending currency. I guess that's probably why they call it that.
That's kind of called entrepreneurship too, I think. So sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
So let's talk about your first 100,000, your very first year. What were some key things that helped you to get to the $100,000 in your very first year? Because a lot of times I know I always tell people, I used to tell people, if you come to my in person training, I would about guarantee you $30 to $50,000 a year. But since then, the last year or two, I've had several, and I mean several that hit $100,000 right out of their first year. What are some key things that helped you get to the 100,000 in your first year?
Yeah, so um, I look at my story now and I see it more as a blessing because I've realized that the harder your life is, the easier it will be. The easier life is, the harder it will be. I know that's like an old saying from Les Miles, but um, I wasn't really given any other choice. You know, like other people, like they see themselves as having choices. Maybe they have money, they have bailouts. I had nothing, right? So for me, it was do or die. And I always believe in keeping a roof over your family's head, feeding your family, making sure they're taken care of. I didn't really have any other option, and that was my mindset. My mindset was like, look, this is do or die. I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna die trying. And I think if you have any other mindset outside of that, entrepreneurship's not really for you. I'm just going to be completely honest. So I think until you get to that mindset, you're not really ever going to be successful.
I mean, I know the one reason why you were the most successful in getting $100,000 your first year is because you came to one of my trainings. I'm just kidding, though. I do have people that do $100,000 from watching my videos on YouTube, also. So that is something that I love to hear that you're able to take those resources and do and be good. What are some strategies did you use to be able to get to that $100,000 in your first year?
Yeah, I mean, I spent every waking hour marketing. That's all I did. I
And
just,
and what are
uh,
some ways that you did, because you didn't have a lot of money that first year too doing this. So what are some ways that you were able to do marketing for the Christmas lights to be able to hit that?
yeah. So we did flyers everywhere we went. We even did flyers when we weren't working. We'd have days where we do 8 hours worth of flyers.
Door to door subdivisions.
Yeah, all the places like the highfalutin areas. So we actually targeted places like I know you would tell people look at your post office routes. So we did that and figured out the high income areas. So we hit those places over and over again. Um, did yard signs, asked for referrals, and then we posted a lot because it's free. So we posted a lot on social media. That was really kind of how we got going at first, and then doing email text campaigns with returning customers. So we pretty much did like anything under the sun that we could for free that first year just to try to get work. I mean, we were probably a nuisance, but you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it is what it is.
And if you follow them on Facebook, you'll see that Chris posts all the time on his wife's page. I'm sure she loves that. For the for pressure washing and Christmas lights, and obviously you must get some work off of that, or otherwise you wouldn't be posting so much. And when I mean posting, you post at least once a day, if not twice a day, right?
Yeah, we post a lot. Yeah, and we have a lot of different platforms. Like we do LinkedIn, Nextdoor, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So we're posting everywhere. I mean, we're trying to do multiple touches with social media, just like we're doing multiple touches with email marketing, text, calling, flyers, yard signs. So there's not like one specific thing we do. We do, probably 5 to 10 things just because if one starts dropping off, the others start kind of picking up. So I've always found just to have, couple different ways of marketing so you're not too dependent on one. I guess that's the whole don't put all your eggs in one basket saying.
Yep. Exactly. So, what was the biggest challenge you faced in the first year, year one, and how did you overcome them?
Um, well, I just, I got that personality where I just sell a job and go do it and not really know what is going on. So like, we go out there and I'd be on YouTube most of the time learning how to do Christmas lights or like going through slides and I'm like, holy crap, like what do I get myself into? And then I guess eventually, over time you figure it out. I mean, YouTube is, I mean, amazing now. You can learn anything on that thing.
Now, I'm going to take a couple minute break, and I want to hit on something here that um, I want to hit on something because I know two people this week that have fallen either from a roof or from a ladder that I know personally. And I want to make sure that as we are on here listening, I want you to make sure that if you do this business or pressure washing or whatever, make sure one guy was on a ladder and the other one was on a cedar roof. One guy broke both legs, the other guy both broke arms and all kinds of other things. And so what I want to tell you is this is a very, you have to stay safe. And the last thing I want to do is get someone else that I know personally hurt. And so one of the guys actually did come to my class, but he was cleaning a cedar roof and he fell off the roof. And so I want to take a plug here of a little bit about safety, because a lot of times we don't think about it, or we don't, we think that it's just one little bit further and we can do it. But it's one thing that if you fall off a roof and you get hurt, it's your business is going to be not good, right? Especially if you don't have employees. This is your only way that you're making money. And if you're an owner operator, you're going to be out of business and no money coming in at all. And so I want to hit on this because, like I said, I've known two different people, two different areas. And the one post he posted on the Pressure Washing Bros, and there was a bunch of people like, man, I fell last week. So I just want to hit on, make sure that you guys stay safe out there. It's one thing to make money. You can go make $2,000-$3,000 average ticket on Christmas lights, but if you fall off the roof, it don't matter how much you make. So be careful out there. Don't do nothing stupid. That's all I'm asking you not to do. So, Jason, did you ever show that video I posted, the guy with the aluminum ladder? I did show that one up by the power lines. That's another thing, right? Power lines will kill you. It will kill you if you hit the power lines with a pole. And so it's definitely one of those things that you need to make sure that you are being careful. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, how you're doing it, but I just want to make sure that you guys stay safe. A water-fed pole is a dangerous thing, even if it is not aluminum and it's a fiberglass, because if that fiberglass has dirt on it or water on it, it don't do you no good. It will kill you when you hit that power line. So make sure you're being safe on that also. So thank you for bringing that up, TCs, because that is something that is definitely important. So with that, what do you do stupid that you shouldn't be doing safety wise? Or actually, let's talk about it better. How do you make sure that your employees are being safe?
So we're gonna have to do some stuff differently. My employees, hypothetically get on ladders and roofs, but that's just hearsay. Um, but I would make sure they're strapped in and have a pitch hopper and roof coat and bull horns on the ladder, all that, and a spotter on the ground. If they did get on roofs,
Right. So let's talk a little bit about how did you go from $100,000 your first year to $250,000 your second year?
yeah, I never stopped marketing. So this was something we had figured out through you going through your training. So like one of the things with Jason's training, Christmas lights is really easy. You're gonna figure it out. The tech side is so easy. Like I wouldn't even waste a lot of time with the tech side, but you need to learn the business side because I see a lot of people do this business. We're like the highest people in this area, and we probably are like one of the biggest Christmas light companies in Myrtle Beach. I'm not saying we're the biggest, but we are definitely one of the biggest and the most expensive. And we learned that all through going through Jason's course. We've never sold anything less than $10 a foot, never. In Myrtle Beach, where you can't make money, I've never sold anything under $10 a foot. So be careful what you listen to because it's not all true. And I'm telling you from my side of things, the reason why we hit over 200 is because we never weren't premium priced. We started premium price and we'll end premium price. We'll probably even go up more than $10 a foot this year. We're looking at 12 for certain things. Now that we have experience, we know we need to be a little more expensive on certain roofs.
But I'm sure there's not any $6 or $4 a foot guys in Myrtle Beach,
They're not in business anymore if there is.
or there's a bunch of them and they're not in business next year, right? That's usually how that happens.
Yeah.
So obviously, to get to the 250, you're at the $10 a foot. And Bonnie is an amazing salesperson. Of also, is she the one answering the phone, or do you answer the phone still?
No. So during Christmas light season, we really have to split. So she takes on that side. I have to take more of the ops manager slash, lead whenever I do need to be on a truck because there's absolutely no way that somebody could do both. So there's going to have to be an administrative side. So she helps out a lot with that because there's absolutely no way I could do that myself. It's just too much for one person.
So, what changes or improvements did you implement in the second year to drive growth? And how did you have to overcome the challenges of even to be able to put up twice as many lights?
Um, So the second year we started October 1st. First year was November 1st. This year we're actually looking at starting in September. We can get out September 1st because we're going to do Halloween lights this year. That is going to be the goal to extend the season another month. I think you have to start earlier. You have to bring your returning customers back in October so you can have room for your new customers in November. And you have to get into commercial. Commercial is tough. I will tell you, like, you need to have cash flow going because if you don't, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Because we got ourselves in trouble with a couple of jobs last year, and we won't do that again this year. So, hiring is going to be a big thing. We're going to have a second truck on the road this year. That way, cash flow is coming in during these big commercial jobs. Just, quick pro tip from somebody who messed that up. So, make sure you always have cash flow coming in.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, let's talk a little bit about commercial. So, what are some ways that you've been able to get your commercial work?
A lot of it is just the advertising. We run Google Ads. We have a website. We do the yard signs. We do the flyers. We do networking. We did, networking groups last year. Um, we actually got into a good job, which I think I'm not going to say that we're going to get it this year, but we might. Um, we've already put a bid in for it to redo it. But a lot of it is just you just got to market. I mean, the more you market, the more you network, it's going to come. I mean, I've never seen somebody who markets the crap out of their business not make any money.
Now,
I haven't
what would you say is more important, knowing how to put the lights up or knowing how to market?
known how to sell 100%. Because if you can't sell, you're not running a business. Like I don't think it matters. You can find. I mean, we were bringing in people last year, and I was like, within a week, they were installing lights by themselves. It's not hard. It's pretty. I think it's easier than pressure washing, honestly.
Yeah, don't fall off the roof, and here's how you do it.
Yeah, just plug it in.
Exactly. Don't stick it in your mouth.
Right.
So, how do you manage your teams and operation during the busy season when the busy season gets crazy and hectic?
So my goal this year is to not hang any lights. Last year I led from the front. I was with them and I was pushing them hard. I mean, and there were hard days. I mean, we're working 12-hour days in the rain sometimes. I mean, it is what it is. It's a short season. You got to do it when it's there. But my goal this year is to bring in a lot of the people I had last year as seasoned technicians and really change the pay structure. So we are going to performance-based pay. I can go into a little bit if you want me to.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
So we're going to do it in a two-phase um, performance-based pay. I'm going to do it in two phases. So there's going to be a percentage up front for the hanging and the maintenance of the lights, and then there's going to be a percentage on the back end for taking down. So right now, our pressure washing trucks, they get 20%. So we're looking at 20% for Christmas lights, but it's not all going to be up front. I'm looking at 15% up front when the money's good, and then when the money's not so good in January, that extra 5% is going to come from the takedown. And the way I got it managed out, if we're looking at a two-man crew doing 10K days, I mean that's a lot of money. I mean they have an opportunity to make what, 7, 8, 9,000 a month. I mean, I don't foresee them turning that down for another job.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty good. Um, I'm trying to do like a couple things here. Um, Paul put you need to set the terms with commercial clients so that way you're not waiting on stuff. But I do. I mean, I always know, even in pressure washing with commercial, I always tried to have at least one truck running residential for cash flow, because cash flow is definitely something hard.
100%. Yeah, we're dealing with that with apartment complexes right now because we do have two trucks now, and I'm really looking at that like, hey, do we just keep a residential schedule making 8 to 10 grand a week while we're doing a 10 grand commercial job? Because a lot of these jobs it's been 2, 3, sometimes a month. Luckily, it hasn't been over a month, but if it is, that might be a little rough. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you don't want to be like Benjamin and they go filing bankruptcy on you and then you get screwed. So that's just something that happens part of business. So,
Right, right. Yeah, and I don't think you can bankrupt payroll debt.
right.
So that's another thing. That's another area I don't want to get myself in trouble in.
Nathan put it surprising how little competition there is in commercial. And I would agree with this. A lot of times people are scared to death to walk in businesses and pick up the phone and call businesses. I think they think that they're going to bite them, and they have fear. And I know Nathan has been picking up a bunch of commercial jobs, even in Christmas lights right now. I know Daniel's picking up a bunch of commercial jobs in it, and Daniel's calling. The other day he called me. He's like, "I'm gonna call 75 businesses today." And I asked him, I was like, "How many did you call?" He said, "I only called 40. That's all I could get in a day." But he called 40 different businesses. And,
Yeah.
the one Monday night call, he was like, "I called 15 churches and they all said no, but number 16 said yes." Right. And so it is a numbers game. You have to know that you have to get the no's so that you can get the yeses. Because if you never get no's, you're probably not going to get yeses either. So that's important to understand that.
Yeah, 100%. That's probably something I should have said that earlier. We do a lot of unsolicited bids. What I mean by that is we'll either call them, I'll walk in, especially on a commercial job where I'm in an apartment and there's like 5 or 6 next to me. I literally go to every single apartment that's like within like a mile or walking radius. And I give them all unsolicited bids. I'm like, hey, you know what? Do you need a pressure washing guy, Christmas lights, whatever? And I just give it to them right on the spot, and I send it to their email, send it to their text, so they got it. And then we can follow up with them in a couple days and see if they want to move forward with it. Huge. I think that's huge. Unsolicited bids are huge.
Yep. Um, so what advice would you give someone just starting out in the Christmas light installation business?
Uh, I would tell them to go to your training because you need to learn how to run a business, man. You need to learn how to market. You need to learn selling. You need to learn the customer experience. The last thing you need to learn is how to be a technician. You can hire that. You got to figure out how to run a business first because if you can't run a business, nothing else matters.
Yep. And so if you want to come check out the advanced training, if you've done about 50,000 or 100 and you want to grow it and get it to a 500,000 or 1 million and be around some rock stars like Paul Gardner and Dustin Howes, go check out christmaslights.io/a, and that is the advanced training. That is where you will get a lot of awesome information. And so that is definitely something that you should go check out. And I don't even know. There it is right there. Or you can also go to christmaslights.io and find my in-person training. So Nathan put another question here. I will answer your question, Wicked, here shortly, but I want to do it. It's not easy. The hardest thing in the world is calling them or showing up. I don't know what it is, but it eats my insides. It eats my insides. Laugh out loud, right? Because it's hard to go in there and because I mean, we think right that they're going to say no, and our brain is going to tell us that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not all of these other negative things that the reason why you can't go, right? I guarantee you if Nathan could come up with 75 reasons why he shouldn't call them or walk in because it's fear, it's this, it's that, maybe they're busy, right? But when you do, and actually I had a conversation with Nathan the other day. He was like, the people that you think are going to do Christmas lights are like go fly a kite, and the people that you're like, I don't even know why I'm going in here, they're the ones that say, okay, let's do it. So it's back to you are not your customer, and quit putting yourself as if you know what that person's going to do, say yes or no. Go out there, get it done, and that's the big key to this. So
100%.
100% business first, wise words. This is Nathan or Daniel. The thing about Daniel is he started his business. He did $179,000, $176,000 his very first year. He only climbed on two or three roofs. That's all he did. He paid somebody else to do it. He's amazing at sales. He's scared to death of heights, but yet they did $179,000 in business. And this year his goal is $500,000. And so that is what I'm talking about by you taking action and making things happen. It's back to what Chris said. It's not about the technician. It's about the business. Do you know how to run a business? Do you know what your profit is? A lot of times when I ask people, what do you charge? And they tell me $5 a foot. I said, what's your cost? And they'll tell me, well, it only cost me $1.50 for light bulbs and clips. But let me ask you this, Chris. Is that all you need to run a business is light bulbs and clips?
Yeah. Um, I'll be honest, man. This year, I have 6 whiteboards to the left of me. All I do is whiteboard, and it's mainly P&Ls and numbers. I whiteboard every single number down to the T. And if you don't know that, then you don't know how to run a business because you can't math. So if you don't understand math or the numbers behind running your business and what makes a profitable business, then I don't think you're really going to make much money doing this because you don't understand your numbers.
Right. And if you don't know your numbers, that's a bad thing because you don't know what to charge at that point. And you don't even know what's profitable or not profitable if you don't have your numbers written and where you want to be at for it. Um, oh, sweet. That's me over here. Let me turn that off. Um, every no is an opportunity. Let me turn that off again. This Daniel's got a great question. Chris, how are you finding staff when it comes? How do you find in his staff, and when does he start advertising job openings?
So this year I changed a lot of things. Uh, I'm gonna put a plug in for Sean Day. I actually probably will use Sean this year. So if you're really struggling with recruiting, talk to him. I think he does. Was it lead hire chill? We talked for a long time. Um, I really, in the past, I haven't done well with this. I've heard all the podcasts. I've talked to all these guys about how to recruit, personality tests, how to filter people out, how to do 3-stage process interviews. I think you need a recruiting service, man, especially if you're trying to do like $500,000 a year. I would recommend it because you could afford it. I mean, yes, I think he's like 400 or 500 a month plus. You got to do ad spend, but it may be worth talking to that guy. Because I'd like to say that I'm good at this, but I'm not. I'm still learning employees, how to recruit, how to keep a bench. But he would be a good guy to reach out to.
Yeah, and we're not waiting till October to start hiring either. You know, we're going to start this process in July and August, so that way when September and October come, we have a whole bench and a lineup ready to go. And if one person's not ready to go, we can go to the next person and get them ready to go.
100%. I mean, the way he's explained it to me, and Dan Platt has explained this too. So I'm, giving both of them credit. You got to treat it like a college basketball team. You got your starting five guys, but you also got your bench, and you don't want to let your starting five guys know that you don't got a replacement if they're not cutting the mustard, because people slack off, they get burned out, or they end up leaving for other jobs. And if that happens, you got to have somebody else to throw in there, especially if you're trying to do some big numbers like that.
Now, the one thing I would say is if you go to christmaslights.io/A in the advanced class, Dustin is going to be there, and he has guys that he puts up over 2,000 houses a year, and he gets guys to come back every year. He has guys that have been working for him for 10, 15 years. So if you want to learn some of his stuff, you definitely want to go check out the advanced class. Um, where this is so true with all the businesses that you own. Um, it's like, man, I made a $10,000 day, and then you're like, man, I made a $50,000 week, and you're like, man, I made $100,000 month. Jeremy Main just made $100,000 month this month, and Chris Johnson, which is out of Myrtle Beach. He's like, last year he did $96,000 month, and this is the great question of where'd all my money go? I made this much, but it went right back out the door, right?
Yeah, that
So,
happened.
so
Go
tell
ahead.
me a little bit about that and what you do to overcome that.
So that was last November. We had a $94,000 month, and I was looking at like paying all the employees and my wife, and I'm like, we don't have any money. It's like, what happened? It's
Right.
like, where did all the money go? I don't know. But it's like, especially when I feel like when you're growing a business, you're spending so much money and growing the business and marketing to even get the leads, and then paying the employees, and having the trucks and maintaining. I mean, there's so much money that goes into this. Like a lot of times, yeah, you make six figures, but then you spent six figures to make it. So it kind of it balances itself out sometimes.
Hmm. So, how do you plan to reach the goal of three? Or you want to hit a half a million? Or I know you said 300 is conservative, but you really want to do a half a million. So, what is your plan to reach the half a million?
It's all going to be recruiting. You know, like the lead gen, we're good. Sales, we're good. Operations, we're good. We got to have the right people. There's no other way to do it. And I got a second truck on the road now, so if we can get two-man crews that are solid, they can hit the numbers we need them to hit. That's how we're going to do it. There's no other way it's going to happen, because we're going to get capped at 200 again if we can't get the right people in.
To get them up. So, what are some common mistakes that you see others make in the industry, and how can you avoid them?
Um, I think going in with a closed mind, you know, if you're not getting coaching, if you're not watching the videos, if you're not reading books, listening to podcasts, I still listen to Tommy Mello all the time. I'm trying to actually do what he's saying, where he said, listen to me when I made 3 million, 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way up to 100, because he's like, the information changes as I level up. I think you have to find people that are going to help you level up, and that's where the coaches, the training, you say guys like Paul Gardner that's making, over 10 million a year. You got to get around those guys, because they will help you get to that level. The guys that are at like 50, 60, 70, there's nothing wrong with it. I used to be that guy, but they're not going to level you up to where you need to be. You got to get around the people that have been where you want to go, and maybe they're not so far ahead of you, but maybe that 500,000-700,000 mark, and that's where you want to be, and they'll usually help get you up there.
So, that is definitely something I agree with. Um, some other common mistakes that I see in this industry is not charging enough. And I love that you started off at $10 a foot, because I usually tell people to start at $8 to $12 a foot. And I love to see that you all started at the $10 a foot mark, because a lot of people will start at the $8, $10 a foot, and they get told no 8 times, and then they're like, Jason, this doesn't work. And what is your close percentage? Do you know what it is?
I use like 10%.
So that means you got to get 9 no's to get 1 yes, or you might have to get 18 no's to get 2 yeses. Because, right, that is why it is important that we make sure that we understand how to do this. So,
100%. I'll be honest. If we weren't charging what we charged the first 2 years, we wouldn't have made it. There's no way. I mean, we would not have made it. So keep that in the back of your head. If you're not doing $8 to $12 a foot, maybe you're just a better business guy than me. I don't know, but there's no way I would have made it that first year if I wasn't charging that.
yep. Um, how do you schedule your returning customers? Do you try to get them in October and leave the schedule open for new customers in November? Yes.
100%.
100%. Hey, Wicked, I know you asked a question earlier, and I know it was on pressure washing, but I want to answer it for you, because I just want to answer your question because I like doing that. You had said, is the 5.5 gallon or the 7 gallon 12 volt better? Honestly, the 5 gallon does just as good as the 7. There's not that much of a difference. In fact, the 7s usually go out faster than the 9s do, or the 5s do. So that's why the 5s are better. Mr. Sean, again, if you want looking for people to hire, go check him out. I've had him on. I'll probably have him on again. Um, Definitely go check out Sean's stuff. Start working on a budget with a detailed P&L. Hire a good business accountant and see where you are overspending. Money going out the door faster than it's coming in.
100%.
So, as we do this journey, and as we start with the Christmas lights, and we're getting into the season, we're not quite to the season, but I do know people that are closing jobs right now. What are some things that you look for when you're trying to go after commercial work?
Um, I mean, really, like a lot of it hasn't just been coming to us. Like obviously, like we've been marketing year round. People see it on social media, they see it in Google Ads, and they call us up. But really, if you're going after specifically with commercial, you just need to walk in there and give them a bid. Just it's really that simple. Just walk in and give them an unsolicited bid. Maybe set a goal for yourself, like, hey, I'm going to do $100,000 a month of unsolicited bids, and maybe you close 5-10% of that. That's 5-10 grand of commercial work, because it's free. I mean, it just requires your time and gas and a vehicle, and that's it. Or you can just call them too. I mean, you probably just call them and do it over the phone too. Most of our bids are over the phone. Um, I could do it that way too.
I love the unsolicited bid thing, because I know Patrick Clark does a bunch of them when he had his business, and I think he says that they shoot for like $250,000 to $300,000, and they know that every $250,000 to $300,000 of bids they give out, they'll close like $50,000 of them. So it's a numbers game, right? It's all a numbers game, is all it is.
Yeah, 100%. It's all a numbers game. Like everything's a numbers game. Leads, sales, even employees is a numbers game. Um, it all comes down to the math and the percent.
Yeah, because it's not, as Sean puts it, hiring people is a lot like marketing, right? And even Tommy Mello talks about this, right? Your marketing is going to also help you get employees. Your
Right.
marketing, and that's the thing that you have that helps you out a lot, is where you are a disabled vet, you try to hire disabled vets, and you try to take care of disabled vets. I mean, the name of your company is talks about vets, right? And so that is the cool thing about this, of growing a business in this here. You know, I talked to, I was poking at Rick earlier today because Rick Moosey, he's from New York. He's also a vet. And I was poking at him a little bit because I like to get him up going. He's one that you can stir up pretty easy and get him going pretty good. And so, it's one of those things that as you're hiring your employees, you can't just take it's all about how do you take care of your employees. What is the culture? And I know the company culture is kind of a buzzword right now. It's kind of one of those words that people just use it of we have great company culture, but what do you do for your employees, right? Are you just paying them a paycheck and assuming that everything's going to be done, or are you taking care of them? Do you know what your employees need? You know, we were talking to Dustin Howes last night, and he's going to be at the ChristmasLights.io/a, and he was talking about every employee has different needs. One might be trying to save up for a house. One might be trying to do something else. Do you know what your employees looking for and wants and needs? Do you know what your employees this profile is? Do you know what their love language is? A lot of times I know people will say, it's just about the money. Well, if your love language isn't about the money, and it might be touch, it might be words of affirmation, that is completely different. And so, some people you could give them a Rolex watch and it's going to mean the world, and another person they could care two less. It's just a watch on their arm, and that's all they care. That's all it is. So, how are you taking care of your employees is going to determine how long you're going to be able to keep them. And I'll be honest, when I had my business, we wasn't very good at keeping employees. I went through a lot of employees. Now, one of my best employees, Dan, he is still there as of last year, and he was an amazing employee. He could get a lot done. Now, was we ready to fire him? Yeah, we was. But the people once we sold him kept him. Did he show up every day? Nope, he didn't. But they never did fire him and let him go because he was an amazing employee, and they tolerated that habit versus just firing him and get to the next person. Because if you suck as a leader, is it the employee's fault or your fault why the employee's leaving? Right? And I'm going to say it's probably you. If you're reading this book here, I would highly recommend it to everybody. It talks about the camcorder method of how to get. A lot of times we don't tell our employees how to do stuff and the right way to do it, and then we want to change it as we go, and that's the problem of why our employees can't keep up with us. So make sure that you're doing your hiring and doing the things that you need to do. So, with that, so your goal's a half a million at the end of the year. What are you going to do if you hit your half a million?
I might get off the truck. That's my goal this year. I like to promote myself to an ops manager. I mean, I'm already like wearing a lot of hats. Bonnie's wearing the hats on the admin side. It'd be nice to start scaling at this point because you start hitting these bigger numbers. Yeah, you probably do profit more doing it yourself, but you're gonna burn out. I mean, you're not gonna have any time. You're gonna be working 100 plus hours a week, not seeing your family, and for me, now we have baby girl and she's a couple months and it changes things. And now I'm like, well, how do I promote myself into an ops role now and get people to do this full time as technicians? And then, I'll probably still go out and help them when they really need it. I got that backup truck, but um, I like to buy back my time. That's my goal now. It's not so much the money; it's more having time with the family and being home more because last year I was just gone too much. And yeah, it was cool to make all that money, but I had no time to enjoy it with my family, so it didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Daniel asked a good question here. What percentage of marketing do you allocate to Google Ads and social media ads? What is the cost per lead for Facebook? Mine seemed high last year, so I stopped early.
Yeah, Facebook. Ashley does a great job. She's been doing Facebook for us for a couple of years now. Facebook did not do very well for us. I don't necessarily think that was her doing. I think there was a lot of changes on Facebook that kind of hurt them too. Um, but really, like with Google, I think we were about like 20, $30 a lead. But I'll be honest, like most of our stuff last year was referrals. I don't know why, but most of the stuff we had didn't even come from any of the ads we did. We still did it, but most of it was word of mouth, which was really kind of interesting to see that in year two.
So Paul said, "Get off the truck before you start the season. That way you can focus on the 500K." Was you down there when was Paul there at the time you were there or no?
In Raleigh,
Yeah,
uh, he might have been.
I got you.
I don't remember. I mean, he may have been. I don't
Right.
remember. That was November of, oh no, October of 2022.
Yeah, I don't
So I'm
remember.
not sure.
Daniel put amen, family first. And that's something I like to hit. I know I know Paul's big on family too. Family first is definitely very important. And Paul always states this quote, and ignore that my daughter's getting closer to 18. It sucks, but did you know you only spend 90% of your kids' time by the time they turn 18? After that, you only spend 10% after the age of 18 that you get to spend with them. So that is why it is very important of why you want to spend your time with with your kids, because when they turn 18, they're gone. They get married to do that, and so that 90% of the time that you get to spend with them is very important of why you should be spending that time with your family.
Jason, my wife just passed me a note, so I need to let her talk and shut my mouth a little bit so I don't get in trouble. So let me turn this camera real quick.
Okay.
You're saving me from sleeping on the couch, so let me let her talk real quick.
So I have some tips. I think in the beginning, Jason, you said what was one of the biggest obstacles the first year, and just from the technical side, I'm not joking. Make sure you have enough SPT1 wire and freaking V plugs, because you are screwed if you don't have enough of those. I can't tell you how many stores I went to, every Home Depot, every home office, whatever place, to try to find the wires, because we always ran out. Number two, for sales. We did this year on accident, but it worked amazingly well. Find a rich neighborhood. Sell the very first house in that neighborhood and sell a big job. So everybody who's passing through into that neighborhood sees what you're doing. They see your truck and they see the job that you're doing. And we did a really good job on the front of a rich neighborhood. I think we ended up, how many did we?
It was like 20 houses and probably the
Yeah.
richest part of Polly's. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, they saw what we were doing, and then people would just stop. Hey, come! I'm right down the road. Can you give me a quote? I'm right down the road. Can you give me a quote? And I was just walking around the neighborhood selling jobs. So that's the sales tip.
So I want to ask you, you got any other good tips?
Um. Oh, for commercial, some cities and some towns will open up. They want Christmas lights, like they want to decorate downtown. So they'll actually put, um, you can go on their website and they'll put an open bid for all of the companies, and you just put in your bid, like, and you could possibly win. That's how we won our bid for our big commercial job. Was we went on the website.
So Sam else put, we do a corner lot $100 discount when we are able to leave yard sign for 2 weeks.
That's smart. Yeah, that's really smart.
And Paul said, tell your wife to quit telling all the secrets.
I tried. I
It
tried to
don't
tell.
it don't work very good. I want to
No.
ask. I want to ask on the female side of working with your husband in a family business. What are some things or things that you have to do that's on the female side of things, and how
It's
does
on.
that work with your relationship?
Oh, Lord. Um, you just kind of have to know your roles, and I don't mean that in a sexist way. I mean that in, like, who's better at what. and then you stick with that. Like, obviously, he's the tech. He's going to figure out how to do the job. He's going to figure out the wiring, all that stuff. I'll have to go get the wires, but I'm not wiring it up. Um, for me, I'm in the sales lane. I like to do designs for people. I'm very visual. A lot of people are visual, so I take the time to do the Canva, makeups and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say basically find out each other's strengths and then roll with that.
So I agree 100%. Find and stay in your lane. And now let's talk a little bit about a lot of times when we're both in the business, it can get into our family time. Do you all have like a certain time that after this time we're not going to talk business?
I mean that's really essentially the goal this year. The first 2 years, I mean, good luck. Unless I guess I mean if you really like plan for it, yeah. But I think the first 2 to 3 years is tough because they're growing years. You really don't know what you don't know. But this year, like we would like to really start doing that. So that's where the hiring the employees and scaling is coming in.
Uh oh. Guest has muted them. So there we go. We're back.
Sorry.
So as Sam put, during Christmas, it's 24/7, 100 days straight.
Oh,
And that's him, his wife. The last time I was out at their place, we were out at like 7, 8 o'clock, and she was still there, and he was still going on strong. So,
Trying to get both of us.
but what? So I want to ask you, Bonnie, what are some words of advice if you were wanting to start a Christmas light business? Uh-oh, I don't know what's going
man.
on.
Hold on for us real quick. I think that one of the daughters is
Sorry,
calling.
my daughter's blowing up our
Um,
phone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like I said, I'm just plugging your education in. I mean, I just go to your class, man. That's how we started. We went to your class. We did your online training. I mean, that's what worked for us, And result. One thing I'd say, man, results don't lie. Somebody who's doing 100+ a year by going to your training, or whoever's training. I mean, we went to yours and it worked. So now
Uh,
we're trying to knock on 500 this year. And it all started with talking with you and Donovan and Chris Johnson sitting right next to me on the list.
They're blowing up his phone for cutting in on him, is what it is. So,
Yeah. Now, one of the daughters, she likes calling, I guess.
No, I think she's stuck. She's stuck at work. That's why.
oh, tell her to get a good thumb up. But Sam else he came to our class and he did 250,000 his first year, and I don't know what he did his second year, $600,000, $700,000. But he's a go getter, so that's definitely something that you got to do this. Let's talk about this. Is running a Christmas light business easy?
No, no business is easy. Especially if you want to make it, it ain't easy.
Right,
Unless you want it as a hobby, maybe it's easy then.
right, right. Again, if you want to learn tactics for the advanced class, it is next week in Salt Lake City. I guarantee you will 10x, you will probably 100x your whatever you put into it. And just being in the room with Dustin House, Chris Johnson, Paul Gardner, Ryan Lee, Ashley Bissing, myself, I guarantee you will learn something. If you don't, I will give you your money back. That's what my guarantee would be for you. If you don't learn something, that's because you got your hearing aids off. So, before we jump off here, what are some words of encouragement for people that are watching tonight?
I mean, my biggest word of encouragement is came from nothing. Literally, I had nothing. 3 years ago, I had nothing. Um,
And she called back again.
hold on, sorry. We're trying to get a hold of her with the other phone.
I got
But yeah, no. I mean, I had nothing 3 years ago. and now, we're gonna do 500,000 this year. So anybody can do it. I mean, really, like anybody can do it. There's nothing special about me. Um, I just decided to do it. I mean, that was it. It's really that simple. I mean, yes, it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be hard if you don't decide and you go work for somebody from 9 to 5 and never retire. I mean, you got to kind of weigh the options there.
So I always like to ask, do you have any favorite books or podcasts you like to listen to is that helps you keep you motivated?
Yeah. So I have a lot of books that I like to read. One of the things I'll tell people to read, especially on leadership, and this is going to be kind of crazy, but The Art of War by General Sun Tzu back in was it like 500 BC? Really impactful Chinese general. If you have not read that book, read it. Uh, in fact, what you'll realize is that a lot of these guys that talk about leadership have read that book and they've just kind of reworded it into their own books. But that guy had so much wisdom back, thousands of years ago. I would read that book.
And what's the name of that book again?
The Art of War.
The Art of War. Okay. I haven't read that book yet, so I'm going to have to read it.
It's a good one. You're going to realize, like a lot of these leadership books you read, you're going to see a lot of that in that book.
Awesome. Question is there a class in Chicago? I do have a class in Michigan. Will be the closest to you. It's in Michigan. That it will be in September. It is up on the website. If you go to christmaslights.io, and then you'll have to go to in-person training and kind of find your way there to find those dates. I don't actually have a thing for that yet, but if you go there, you'll be able to find that class for the Michigan class. So, The Art of War is a book that you need to read. I need to read myself, sounds like. But other than that, you got any last words you want to say to people online?
Yeah, I mean, don't be a bitch.
You sound like what was his name? Now I can't think of
I'm
it.
bringing him back, man. I haven't seen him in a while, but
I know it. I know it. I know it.
he's got a point. He's got
That's right. That's right. But other than that, I hope you all have an amazing night. Again, if you want to learn more about Christmas lights and get your business to $500,000, be in a room where people are doing it, go check out christmaslights.io/a. I hope you all have an amazing week. And hell yeah. Sam put something. I got to put Sam up because Sam is awesome. If you all don't follow Sam else on Facebook or on TikTok, Facebook, you should. I guarantee you will learn a lot. Hell yeah, preach that. Don't be a bitch. Just man up.
we got to bring Bobby back, man. I don't know what happened to him.
Bobby Walker. Yeah, last time I talked to him, he's still doing good. I hadn't talked to him in about a couple months, but I know he was struggling. He's got his own demons, so trying to get over it. So, but other than that, I hope you all having a great night, and we'll see you all later. Hang on there.